Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this new webinar organized by Stand ICT in cooperation with other EU-funded projects and initiatives. My name is Maria Giuffrida. I'm from Trust IT Services, and I'm, very glad to welcome you to this event, which is actually the fifth edition of a series of webinars that we've been organizing over the past 3-4 years with a specific objective that is to spotlight and give visibility and generate and increase awareness about the role that specifically women can play in standardization. And since Stand ICT is focused on ICT topics, we will provide mostly examples from the ICT domain. Before we go into the details of the event, let me just tell you a couple of housekeeping rules. So first of all, the event is being recorded. We will make it available on the Stand ICT website within next week. And it's an online event, of course, and so it's not so easy to interact, but we will try to make this 90 minutes as much engaging as possible, and you can engage with us in two main ways. First way is you can use the Q&A box, which is placed in the lower toolbar of Zoom. If you put a question in the Q&A box, we can, also reply and type. The relevant speaker can type the answer while the webinar is ongoing. But you can also, if you don't find the Q&A box, you can also write in the chat. And if you write in the chat, specify maybe the person you want to address the question to. We will have a dedicated moment for Q&A at the end of the webinar, but don't wait until the end if you have a specific curiosity or comment that you would like to ask once a speaker is presenting, their part. Also, you can use the chat if you want to communicate anything else that's pertinent, of course, to the event. So if you want to also present yourself, introduce your initiatives, your ideas, so keep the chat as an opportunity to share anything. And we will do the same. We will put links or other relevant resources. This is the lineup of speakers that we have for today's webinar. The objective, as mentioned, is that we want to encourage, more women to be part of this debate and to be part of the standardization activities. And so we have 8 speakers who will share their personal experiences, best practices, or also examples and challenges that maybe are still existing to improve gender balance and inclusiveness in standardization. And in some cases, they will also provide recommendations based on their experience. Just a few words about the context in which this webinar is created. As I said, it's the 5th time that we do it, and it's part of a larger effort of Stand ICT and other projects. But specifically in this case, Stand ICT to really have and support the involvement of women in standardization, because we know how important it is that also stakeholders that are not typically involved in these activities are participating, and their perspective is taken into account. These are the numbers of the previous editions of Stand ICT, so until the end of Stand ICT 2026, which is the project before the one we are having ongoing now. It ended in December, and as you see in the upper part of the screen, the number of female-funded applications between 2018, that's when we started, and 2026 has increased by 60%. So we are happy about this. And we have also the results of the first open call of Stand ICT 2029, where we've had 23% of applications from women, which may not seem a lot, but on average, if we consider the percentage of women that are involved in standardization, it's pretty aligned with the averages. In some cases, it's even beyond the average. So we're happy to push this percentage even higher. And in terms of results, we're very happy that we have 25% of women out of the 75 that we funded in the first open call. And so the success rate for women was 50%, which is very good. We have other funding opportunities available where Send ICT can provide reimbursement for the expenses of experts that are involved in ICT standardization. And anyone who would like to apply, of course, not only women, but anyone, can do so on our website. I will put also the link in the chat, and we will have a dedicated info session about how to submit a proposal to our second open call on the 24th of March, so next Tuesday. So this is everything that I wanted to share with you as let's say introduction. Now I'll stop sharing the screen, and I will pass the floor for the presentations of all the speakers to the first speaker, who is Anna Maria Mandalari. And welcome, Anna Maria. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you a lot. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today for this discussion. My name is Anna Maria Mandalari. I'm a researcher at the University College London, and I'm also the co-founder and CTO of Mulini, a startup working on IoT privacy and security. So I see standardization from two sides: as a researcher producing technical evidence, and as an entrepreneur trying to turn that evidence into a practical, trusted solution. Today, I would like to share my experience in ICT standardization, how I entered this world, what I do in practice, what kind of challenges I face, why I believe this work is so valuable, and also a message that is very personal to me, the importance of women supporting women. So I first started approaching the world of standards during my PhD. I did my PhD in Carlos III University in Madrid. And at that time, I was like a very shy student. I was passionate about research, and like many other PhD students, I just wanted to publish papers, present my work, and contribute technically. But I was still trying to find my confidence. My research at the time was related to new internet protocols. My supervisor, Marcelo Bagnulo, was involved in the IATF. IATF, the Internet Engineering Task Force, is basically, just to give you some examples, the organizations that created TCP, HTTP, all the kind of protocols that we use nowadays to navigate the internet. So he encouraged me. I had no idea, by the way, that this organization exists, but he encouraged me to go and present my work at one of the IATF meetings. And for me, that was a very important moment because it was my first real contact with the standardization community. And I have to say that I learned very quickly and a bit the hard way how difficult it is to make a new standard, or even to propose something to improve an existing standard. Because as a researchers, we are trained in certain process. So we write a paper, a few other researchers read it, those papers, and after 2-3 months, the paper is either rejected or accepted. We know that system very well, but standardization is completely different. So in standardization, the process can take years. It is not only about having a technically good idea, but it's about discussion, interaction, patience, a lot of patience, and above everything, something that was new to me, that it was consensus. So that was a very important lesson for me because standardization taught me that the impact is not only about being technically right. And as a researcher, you experiment, everything that you find is like technically sound, but was also about standardization is also about bringing people with you. So it's not only about technology, but also about communication, trust, and above all, community. So you need to explain why something matters, listen to different perspectives, respond to concerns, and help build that consensus. So help build agreement among people. And this is one of the reasons why I found standardization so challenging, but at the same time also so valuable. It is where technical knowledge meets collective decision making. So over time, this connection between research and standardization became stronger in my work. My research nowadays at UCL focuses on IoT, security, privacy, and networking. In these areas, standards are so important because connected devices are now everywhere. From smart speakers to cameras, even your fridge can be connected to the internet. They are in our homes, they are in our healthcare systems, cities, industry, energy, critical national infrastructure. So if security, privacy, and these devices don't talk the same language between each other, so interoperability are not built in from the beginning, the risk can be very serious. At the same time, I'm also an entrepreneur. So being the co-founder and CTO of Mulini gave me another perspective. As a startup working on also IoT privacy and security, I see very clearly that standards are not only abstract documents or technically sound. They are practical tools for company. They provide a common language, a shared references, and a framework for trust. So for me, standardization is both a research issue, but also an innovation issue. It helps bring technical excellence and real-world adoption. In my own journey, I have to say that I was lucky enough to meet people in the standard community who supported me from the beginning. And in particular, women who made a real difference in my path. I would like to mention some, for example, the chair of the USR, ETSI USR working group, Sandra Feliciano, who introduced me to European projects such as Stand ICT, Cyberstand. And that support was extremely important for me because sometimes what change your path or your way to see things is not only your expertise, but also the fact that someone sees your potential, encourage you, and help you to access spaces that might otherwise feel difficult to enter. And this is one of the most important messages that I want to share with you today. Very often, it is women supporting other women who make the difference. They make introductions, they create opportunities, they encourage participation, they help you feel that you belong in the room. And when you're young or shy or entering a new environment that feels intimidating, particularly in ICT, right, where the number of women, unfortunately, is still very low, this kind of support can have a huge impact. And for me, this became like a chain. So first, you receive support. Then, as you grow, you realize how much that support meant. And then you feel a responsibility to give it back, to support others. So this is why I do the same now with my PhD students, for example, my MSc students. So I try to also open doors for younger women, encourage them, recommend them, help them build confidence in this space. Of course, there are challenges. Standardization can be slow. Building consensus takes time. It requires politeness, persistence, and patience. And as well as we all know here, women are still underrepresented, unfortunately, many technical and decision-making space. Sometimes these barriers are very visible. Sometimes they are subtle, but they are there, unfortunately, yet. And most of the time, it's not about lack of competence, but about visibility. So it was demonstrated that like women are more reluctant to show their expertise, their work, confidence, but also access, or simply being invited in a conversation. That is why I strongly believe that mentorship, sponsorship, and events like this one today are so important in our community. So yeah, now I wanted to conclude with like few recommendations to women who want to work in ICT standardization. From my own experience, and I hope I really share the feeling that I had during this year when I accessed this world. First things, really trust your expertise. You don't need to know everything before entering these spaces. Second thing, like I was related to the first things, is no one knows your work better than you. Your background, your knowledge, and your perspective already have a lot of value. You don't need to know everything. Second, do not think there is only one path. in standardization. You can come from academia, industry, and you're an entrepreneur, engineer, policymaker. All these perspectives are needed. Third, do not be discouraged by the complexity of the process. Yes, standardization is slow than research publishing, for example, but it requires a lot of patience. But it's also a place where long-term impact is built. Fourth, but not least, seek support networks. Ask people, just ask in particular, like, people that are near you, but also people that you don't know. What I learned from my path, and particularly in the standardization community, is that it's very difficult someone say no to something if they can help. So ask, don't be shy. When you can, become pet support also for others. I truly believe that this is how change will happen. So to conclude, my journey into standardization starting during my PhD when I first entered the IATF as my student waiting to present a research. And since then, now I'm secretariat of the TC, the ICT Cyber USR working group to standardize the Cyber Resilience Act. And along this journey, the support of women has made a real difference in my life. This is why I believe so strongly that women supporting women can change careers, community, and also the future of ICT standardization itself. So my hope is that more women will not only join these spaces, but also lead them. We have now, today in these events, we have a lot of examples of women that are leading the standardization process. So make the most of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna Maria, for your experience. Actually, I know you have to go. So if anyone has any comment or question for Anna Maria, please ask now or write in the chat. I will wait like a few seconds just to address one question that already came in the chat that I think it's very relevant. And you gave me a perfect assist actually to do this because you mentioned the support of other people and especially women. And the question I got from Marisol is about the mentorship program. A mentorship program is an initiative that we have started in Stand ICT. There is a registration form. I will put the link in the chat, and there is no deadline, okay, to apply for the mentorship program. So anyone who is interested in being advised a little bit on how to behave and how to enter the standardization world can apply as a mentee, or someone that has experience can apply as a mentor. Okay, so you can just go there in the link that I will put in the chat. You sign up with the role that you prefer. And what we do is we match mentors and mentees based on the topic, based on the field of experience. And then you are free to, create this network and receive the advice. The important element is even if you don't apply for our open calls, so you are not needing a financial support, but just a topical support, let's say, you can apply. But if you also need financial support, so you also apply for the open call, the fact that you apply or are part of the mentorship program will benefit your application because among the criteria that we have for the evaluation, we give extra weight and extra points, let's say, for the people who are involved in the mentorship program because we want to really encourage the use of this type of tool. Okay, so for Marisol, I hope I address your point, but just to let you know that on the 24th, when we have the info session, we will also explain the mentorship program more in detail. So if you want to know more, you can also sign up for that. Okay, so I think we can move on to not to be too late on the schedule. Thank you, Anna Maria. And now I leave the floor to Cristina Mussinelli. Welcome.
I just share my
See?
presentation.
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm quite new to the work that you are doing, and I'm very happy to be able to explain what we discussed recently about what we do. We are a Fondazioneria. Fondazioneria is a foundation focused on providing access to people with print disability to the content produced by the publisher, but also by other organizations. I am the Secretary General, and I think that what was quite important to me, sorry, I cannot move the slides, I don't know why. Okay. The foundation was created in 2014 by the Publisher Association in Italy and the Italian Blind Union. So it's a community very strange in the field of accessibility, because normally publisher and disability organization are quite separate. And we became a very important point of reference for the overall world of accessibility, not only at the Italian level, but also at international level. And I think that I don't know if you have a clear idea what accessibility means for people who are blind or visually impaired or who have dyslexia. The real problem is that if you are a sighted reader, you can access everything you want. While if you are a people with disability, you cannot access a lot of content, and if you cannot access, they don't exist. So it's very difficult for them to understand the richness of what publisher offer in terms of books, e-books, but also in terms of platform and other services. So it's relevant not only for entertaining, but also for work and for professional career and for learning. So what we have done, we were very focused on digital, because we as Publisher Association were already involved in everything related with the evolution of publishing in the digital ecosystem. So I just give you some information about the number of people who can benefit from what we do. It's a lot of people, especially if you consider the people with dyslexia, that may be a percentage of 9-12% of the overall population in Europe. It depends from the language, but the number are growing also because a lot of people were not recognized as dyslexics, and now the possibility for them to be understood and be recognized is growing. And both for people with no vision and blind and people with dyslexia, accessible content, it's very, very important. There was a book famine. That means that only 5% of the book were produced in an accessible version, and this was normally done after the publication from the publisher was created. So it took a lot of time. It was very costly. We are involved in many standard organizations. We are a small team of around 15 people, and 2/3 of the organization are young women. So I think this is very, very important. We have some men, but they are less than normally. Normally you can find the technology area. We support a lot young people to be involved in the technical spec. Also people working in the publishing industry, that sometimes women are considered only active reader, while in digital ecosystem and in accessibility in particular, the majority of the people involved are women. So to be involved also in the standard, it's very, very important. How and when everything started. When I start thinking about accessibility, was 2011, and before the foundation was created, and there was two standards. One was the EPUB, that was an open standard, interoperable one, that was managed by an organization that was at that time named IDPF, that was International Digital Publishing Forum, where all the important stakeholders, Amazon, Apple, Adobe, were involved, publisher. And this was a widely adopted standard in the publishing industry for the production of ebooks. And on the other side, there was another standard that was a proprietary standard from another organization that was specifically focused on producing alternative version for people with disability, and was a DAISY standard. And these two standards was completely separate. So to read ebooks in the EPUB format, you had reading solution, they were distributed mainstream, so they were easy to access and for everyone. if you were using the DAISY format, you need to have specific greedy solutions, some devices. It was a very close environment only for people with disability. And so it was a completely different work. So what happened? In 2011, I was member of a IDPF board, and in the IDPF board, there were some women, not only me. And I remember some board meeting in which one US women were there knitting during the board, that it was kind of thing that I thought very, very strange. And in 2011, there was a very important decision that was to merge the specification of the DAISY format inside the EPUB format. There was the mainstream format for the publishing industry. And this was a completely shift. And I think this why I'm explaining this, because I think that it's important to understand that standards are not only technical specification, but can really be the way that a business or a ecosystem can change and evolve. And if you are not involved in the standard, you cannot be able to understand what are the potential and what are the possibilities that the standard offer. And I think, as the previous speaker say, women have a particular, in my opinion, skill in that, because you need to understand the, how can I say, the not very immediate, clear signal. And you also need to be able to connect many very different things from different point of view that I think women are very good at. And so what we have done, that with this possibility to have a standard that was the same for people with disability and the publisher, we completely changed the paradigm for the publishing industry and for the people with disability. And so we decided to move, adopting EPUB 3, to create born accessible publication. That means that publications that are accessible not create afterwards the first publication of an ebook, but are created while you are producing the ebook. And they are also distributed in the mainstream distribution channel, because in this activity, there are also other standards that came in that are, for example, Onyx, that is another open standard based on consensus, that is the standard that is used in the publishing industry to provide to all the distributor and retailer the information, the bibliographic and commercial information for the end user. And this also is a completely different mindset. You don't have visual blind or visually impaired people ask for the creation of a specific version of the book you want, but you can go in the mainstream distribution channel, find the book and understand, because there are metadata based on standard, if the book it's feasible for your need or not. So I think that combining also different standard in an ecosystem, it's a very, very important thing. So not only think on one standard, but try to understand which are the already existing standard and how your work or your organization or your ecosystem can benefit of them. And what is the big shift? Before, you had to produce for every book or every version of a book a different format and a different production process. So you had to create a printed braille version, a larger character book version, or an audiobook, and there were 3 formats and 3 different process. With the digital format based on standard, you can have one book, and benefiting also from the functionality that the reading solution or the web can offer you, you can have the same book that can be read with a braille display, with a synthesized voice, or enlarged with the functionality of sizing or spacing the content in different places. So I think this is what I think it's very, very important. And this is why I think it's important that the people don't consider standard as a technical specification, but need to consider standard as something that may allow them to change the world in which they are working. And I really believe that people with creativity and people who are fond of what they are doing as absolutely fundamental in this space. I see that in the standard organization in W3C still are a lot of men. Also still there are a lot of men that are not very young. So I think I'm not very young too, but I try to bring the young people in. And I think this is important. And also it's important to as someone else before me say, not be shy. It's a community. The people will listen. If you have doubt, ask, and try to understand not only the technicality but also the opportunity for your activity and your business, because you may be able to provide big changes with the use of standard to the people you work with. So I think this is my most important thing that I want to say to you. And if you need any help or any suggestion, I will apply probably for the mentorship program if you wish. So I will be more than happy to speak with you also afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christina, for providing this very concrete example. And, it's really a success story of how you can benefit from a standard. Let me see if there is a comment, a question from someone in the chat. Oh, okay. So, since I know you have to leave, Christina, maybe I don't know if you wanna
Yes, the
try.
fragmentation.
Yes, on this comment, how fragmented is the standardization and disconnected?
It depends. I agree that there is a fragmentation. I would support for sure the open interoperable standard, but I also see that, for example, I have a very concrete example of how we work in the field of connected standard with legislation, because there was a European Accessibility Act in Europe that is a law that required that all the e-book, but or a lot of other services and products should be accessible. And in the legislation, there is a technical annex where all high-level requirements are described. And I think that from a legal point of view, from the Commission, there is no other way to provide information as a first step. So what we have done a mapping that is available on the W3C website. If someone is interested, I can send afterward the link, where we have mapped the high-level requirement with the EPUB standard, and we have done a work in the standardization body to align the requirement of the legislation with the specific of the standard. So we are now sure that the standard and what is required by the law are completely aligned. And this is also the kind of work that has been done for W3C in WCAG and other standards that are available for the web. And for sure, doing this work is a lot of work. You need to know quite well what you are speaking about, but you also don't only need to know the technical specification. You also need to know the requirement from the end user, because standards are not created because only for technical. For example, in the accessibility field, the fact that we work very closely with the DAISY consortium was absolutely relevant, because they brought in the requirement of the people with disability. They knew which technology they use. They knew what they need to do if they are blind, if you're visually impaired, if you are dyslexic. So also here, the combination of technical and specification, knowledge of the business, and knowledge of the user need is fundamental. I don't know if I answered the... Okay, that standard, it's the standard you put, it's an harmonized standard, European harmonized standard that is based on WCAG, and they are now, with the mandate of the Commission, they are revising it to update the standard that is the formal standard adopted by the Commission for website and the European Directive and the Web Directive, because the W3C have done a new release of the WCAG that is WCAG 2.2, and the previous standard was on WCAG 2.1. So also here you see the business and the standard go together. So the legislation, the business opportunity, and the standard need to be aligned, because the requirement, for example, for the authority to check the standard need to be aligned with European standard, and so he need to be updated with the new standard done in W3C. I think will be out, probably in the middle of this year.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christina, also for taking these two questions. Yeah, congratulations again for your initiative and also for accepting to come to this event at very last minute because we only recently met. But I think you provided a very nice recommendations and insights to think about. And if you apply for the mentorship program, we are very happy. So please do it.
I will check.
Okay, I put it in the link in the chat. Okay, so let's go on with our next guest, which is
Thank you
Federica.
very much.
Thank you. Bye, Cristina. Federica Bozzi. I think you have to, yeah, stop sharing. Yes. And Federica,
Good
welcome.
morning.
Good morning.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, good morning. My name is Federica Bozzi, and I'm very, very happy to be here today with you. I think my presentation will be likely a call to action to think outside the box because it will be about the fact that my background is really different from all the other ones that you will hear today. So I graduated in economics and social sciences and started my career in marketing. Sorry, I want to change a slide. Thank you. Operations and sales. In 2024, I started a new adventure as a startupper in Nextg Cloud, which is an Italian innovative startup in cybersecurity. And my word was pitches, clients, dynamic deadlines. So absolutely not 100-page technical documents. So last year, when I was first invited to join the standardization process in Etsy, I have to admit I was terrified. I thought, oh my God, standardization, but I come from sales and marketing. It must be really different, maybe boring, super technical and full of engineers that usually speak a very different languages, a language that I don't understand. So what am I doing here? I felt that I was not qualified enough. I thought I'm not an expert. What business do I have in a room full of very knowledgeable people on these topics? But I have to admit, the reality was totally different from what I expected. It wasn't boring at all. It was very alive, dynamic, and very interesting. So in 2025, I was appointed by Etsy as a project leader for Sanfosia 2, which is a project on the standardization of the Cyber Resilience Act. And my role was of coordinating the team of technical experts working on this very challenging and complex project. So what I do is I coordinate the team. I ensure that milestones and deadlines are met, but I also organize consultation and dissemination events to make sure that people in the outside world get to know what we do and how they can contribute in this drafting phase. Most importantly, we recently started a very important EU tour, which is called CRA Standards Unlocked, with the aim of getting closer to potential stakeholder and attract feedback, inputs, and comment from the outside world. So I'm actually touring Europe. Next week I will be in Barcelona. Then we will have Stockholm, Malta, a lot of other events this year, basically to make people aware of what standardization is and to acquire information about the CRA and how to be better prepared for this new legislation. And here is the revelation. The technical expertise, it's not the only ingredient. So standards are actually a team sport. So the complete recipe is, of course, technical experts that define how it works. They know the requirements and they draft the documents, but also project management and leadership that make it actually happen, that help people communicate better, coordinate in a more efficient way. And also communication, because we want to turn ideas into global adoption. So as mentioned before by the other speakers, I think one very key point in this process is that people sometimes from the outside world, they don't know about the work in standardization. Honestly, I was totally blind. I didn't know that there was a word, standardization word existing. And I think it is really important that we try to communicate better what we do and how to join the process. This is the reason why, starting in the upcoming months, I will join another very important EU-funded project, which is called RESSE. And the idea is to set up an educational project to encourage talents to enter the standardization world. So we want to create materials, events, and resources to make sure this path is actually accessible to everyone. So I will conclude saying that every skill, every know-how, every background is very important in this process. It's not only for engineers, it's not only for people with a technical background, it is also for people that can bring enthusiasm, passion, and different skills to the recipe. So please come and join us, and I will be more than happy to answer your question if you have some. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Federica. Let's wait if there is any immediate question. I can totally relate with what you say, because also personally myself, I have total stranger, let's say, with respect to standardization before I joined my current company. And thanks to the EU-funded projects that I'm involved in, I'm learning a lot about standardization, coming actually to coordinate a project on standards, which I never thought it was something I could ever do. So yeah, that's a very nice and encouraging words for all of us that are not really into the technical expertise. And I see something on the chat from Tara. Okay, so a comment from her. You know her, so that's nice.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
a pleasure for me to be here today, honestly. Last year I was doing different stuff, but I realized it is a very interesting world, and honestly, I'm meeting a lot of very knowledgeable people, very talented, and I'm learning a lot. So I have to say this: the switch on the standardization world was also a personal switch, not only a professional one. And I'm very, very happy and enthusiastic about this world. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Federica. Now let's go on with the next speaker. We have Albina Miowska.
Yes.
Good morning,
Hello.
Albina.
Good
Hi.
morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I will also share a pair of slides.
Yes.
Of course, the same is here. I'm very happy to be part of this event, so thank you for the invitation. It's actually a very good company, so I'm happy also to hear from the experiences of my fellow speakers here participating in the event. And I believe that, actually, I'm very happy to see that there is a very strong female community in leadership as well. And I believe that together we can really make a difference. And that's why I have also entitled my talk today, The Finer 6G Influencers, as of course women are being referred as the finer sex. And I think that we can really, the women in technology, we can try to put a new spin to the influencer trend that is very popular today among the younger generation, and give a focus, on technology and as well on trying to address societal problems and influencing through technology, not only, of course, products and fashion, but and lifestyle, but focusing this around societal challenges and how technology can bring overcome these challenges, and how we can also put into perspective some actually problems that have been persisting for many years. And I think that my experience, I am of course with a PhD in electrical and electronic engineering. I have been specializing in mobile wireless communications, and I'm currently very much involved with 6G, participating also through all these mobile communication generations, also into standardization activities. So currently I'm working group 3 of the 1.6G Association. I'm chair of the working group 3 of the 1.6G Association. I'm also very proud to be CTO of Smart Avatar, which is an SME in the Netherlands, and it is actually a female-led SME. We specialize in digital twins and zero trust security. We basically have a platform that is trying to use and process real-time collected data and turn it into applications for a variety of vertical use cases. So this has given me an opportunity also through my long-term career in academia and as an associate professor as well. It has given me an opportunity to gain various perspectives in approaches to technology, to research, to collaboration. And I believe that there is, as some of my previous fellow speakers mentioned, great potential and actually benefits into supporting and other women, mentoring other women. So I'm very interested also in this mentorship program, and also in together we can bring these different perspectives, as it was mentioned, and shape technology to be for societal good. So as also part of the 16G, and I encourage you also to check, of course, our website. We have a focus. It's an international association. It's membership based, but it's currently free of charge. So you can just apply and join and participate into various discussions around the topic of 6G. We do focus on a variety of use cases, and we'd like to bring this, also make a shift from the current until now trend of gender neutral towards actually gender specific use cases as well, and uses of technology, because it's not only about bringing technology to help in manufacturing, which is, for example, traditionally quite a male sector, but also bringing this to the workplaces where women are also active, being it in education, in also not forgetting the more traditional roles that women still have to play at home, and trying to actually help so that they can have time also to dedicate to these roles, like mother, of course, raising the family and so on. So in 16G, of course, we also co-liaison with a variety of standardization groups. This is ITUR, 3GPP. I'm personally involved also with the IEEE 1955, which is developing use cases and requirements for 6G empowering robotics. And this has allowed me to look into the role of 6G and of women from a different perspective. So basically, through 6G, we can, and through involvement in standardization, which 6G, as you know, is still not defined, is currently on a standardization roadmap for 3GPP, and is expected to reach maturity around 2029 or 2030. But exactly this provides a very good platform for joining in and trying to shape this technology to be for societal good. And maybe you're also aware of the initiative of ITU, which now have an event, AI for Good. And I personally also would like to extend this to 6G also for societal good and benefits. So as 6G is currently being shaped, this provides a very good opportunity for everybody, not only for of course, female technology leaders, participants, students to join in. It gives a possibility to exactly now join in and try to leverage and to put your, let's say, minds and imaginations into leveraging the technology capabilities to shape new use cases, to use all these, as you see, I have given an example of some use cases which really can tackle some societal challenges at the moment. But we have the vision of 6G, which envisions, of course, a lot of AI nativity in the network, multisensory communications, digital twins, immersive reality and communications. So all this can, of course, we have also the massive IoT connectivity, but this can create a lot of new immersive, data-rich and transparent experiences. And this can allow us to shift this influence and trend more from product towards promotion of demonstrating how technologies has a key role in solving societal problems. As you see, I have a use case where we can use this current, of course, focus of research on joint communication and sensing. That will be, of course, a fundamental part of 6G and the next generations. This can be very well used to combat gender violence or just violence also in the streets. You wear your device is always connected and can signal alerts and make you feel safer when you walk home in the evening, because unfortunately this gender violence still exists and is one very acute societal problem. Through holographic presence and seamless immersive realities, we are able to also collaborate in a more efficient way. We can be more efficient in general with the work, but we also expand our horizons and open them to other collaborations that otherwise may require time and, of course, costs through the travel to reach there. Of course, personal meetings are very important as well, but this makes everything more efficient. And on top of everything, we are also able to contribute to sustainability because, of course, when we travel less, there is, of course, less CO2 production, so to say. So this makes everything also towards tackling this side of societal problems. Of course, being at home, as I mentioned, and since personally I'm involved currently in these use cases on 6G enabled robotics, we can support the traditional role by having, of course, the robots help with household activities and do work which otherwise will take time away maybe from the family because somebody has to do this work. So all in all, I think that we need the female perspective, and I personally believe that 6G cannot reach its full potential unless we put various perspectives into now the definition of the use cases, of the requirements, of how technologies should integrate and be built in a system so that society can benefit. And of course, I'm open for questions. If you have any, I will keep this talk short because I believe we are a little bit already delayed. So I'm also open to if you would like to reach out. But basically, that's it. So I hope that you consider becoming an influencer and looking into this. I personally would like to work a little bit on some type of business model that would stimulate that actually this really becomes a trend. So let's see what we'll reach. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Albina. Yes, let's continue with the presentations also because you are available to stay, I think, also later. So, yeah, we're a little bit behind schedule with the timing, but it's because we are also taking some questions in the meantime. We have next Deborah. Deborah Comparin. Welcome, Deborah. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, we see the slides. Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me participating in this webinar. I will take a bit of a different direction than my previous colleagues, and I'd like to share with you what it is a day in the life of a standardization expert. A little bit about me before starting. So my name is Deborah Comparin, and I am a standardization expert since just a little short of 4 years now. I am involved in the International Telecommunication Union, the ITU, that is the United Nations Standardization Agency. And I held a role of responsibility within the study group that deals with security. So in particular, I'm chairing what we call Working Party 1. You will learn we have a lot of acronyms in the standard world. But in essence, I lead topics around digital identity, quantum-based security, and public infrastructures. So if you want to talk about any of those, I'm happy anytime. So Why a day in the life? Why this take on the presentation? Because for me, today's reality is that standardization role is a discovery. I had no idea that this job existed. I thought I was alone, but in these past 4 years, I realized that not many people knows about standardization and about this job. And the reality is that even the new generation, we talk about involving new generation and women, etc., but we should start by teaching about this role because they learn about open source in school, but they do not learn about standardization. So let me tell you about what standardization is all about from my perspective. Standardization starts with an idea to solve a defined problem. And let me stress on defined, because the more precise you are in this world, the more are your chances of succeed. So you have this brilliant idea, you want to solve this problem, and why standardization, right? We heard it from other panelists as well. Why not just publishing a journal paper or having another type of output that is not a standard output? And the point is that the standard is meaningful when your solution is impactful, when it is implemented by everyone in your community. So basically, it's magnified when everybody is converging and is implementing this solution. So this is where you go towards a standard output rather than a journal paper or other types of output. And the output is always a specification. So you have this solution, then this is where the maze starts, right? This was very hard for me at the beginning, is where do I go? Because there are many standard bodies, in fact. So you need to choose which is the right one for you and for your objective. And that means the right topic fit, because not every standard body cover every topic. So you have to find your community, but also the governance, which is not something that as a newbie you would understand immediately. So for example, I had an idea to solve a very specific problem for developing countries. And ITU was the perfect home for that, because this is where developing countries and governments are actively involved. So this is also why I chose to get involved with ITU. And be mindful that standard bodies compete. It's not something we like to say, but that's a reality. So unfortunately, there are duplicate efforts. We should get better at this, but you should be prepared that when you're working in a standard, then there might be some other standard bodies that are doing something similar. And so collaboration is also necessary. Then you have to become a master at processes. So I really like my previous panelists who were saying that you kind of a project manager, and that's very true. So you need to learn to master the mechanics of the standard body. So how it is structured is almost like a company, right? There are working groups, community groups, whatever is the name. So what are the roles? Rapporteurs and chair, vice chair, so on and so forth. You need to understand who does what and how it is structured. You'll have strong deadlines for contribution. You can't just come up with an idea and or a solution and then go to a standard. There will be like a calendar, and there will be a cadence of meetings. So it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It is a long game where you actually participate and you get engaged with the community with all these meetings cadence, and you are ready to get discussion, to reach consensus, which is what you want, and also get your solution from a very mature stage to a standard, which is not 1-0, but there's a life cycle there. And the point is that all of this is different. It's not consistent across standard bodies. So that's really the difficult part. And I wish I could have, put a QR code here to show you, hey, this is a place where you want to go and learn about how this works, but it doesn't exist. I wish this existed, but it doesn't. So this is also a call for action. And let's assume now you are a master in the wheel and you're spinning very fast. You know exactly how the processes work. Your goal, your objective is consensus. this is all about consensus. So it's not a work in isolation. It's really about you working with your peers and getting to a point where you can all live with the solution. It's not perfect. It might not be what you wanted, but it's something that all the people in the room can live with. This is what consensus is. And it's not unanimity. It's different. And when you reach consensus, you really are in a very nice position. But it does not mean that your standard is successful. And this is often where people stop, right? They say, okay, I managed to get my standard across, we reach consensus. Is it implemented? This is for me the measure of success of a standard. So is how much this is actually implemented in real life by your community. And it doesn't mean millions of implementation, but if your community is small, is a niche, that's absolutely fine. But there has to be uptake. So a good 20% of my job is actually about that, is communicating, making sure that what I do is reality proof, as I said. So it's not just nice on paper, but it gets tested and used. And so that's the most beautiful part of this job, is that you really are liaising with different cultures every day, all the time. These are large groups, are people that are not from your own organization. They are from other organizations, different geographies. But what you will realize once you are involved in standards, that these people will become your team eventually. You will feel them like your team because you've been through a journey together, painful sometimes, but a journey together. And when the specification is completed, I mean, that's really something to be proud of, right? When it's hot off the press and it's out there and everybody reached consensus on that, that's a beautiful achievement. So this is my perspective on what it is, the standardization job. I understand, Maria and everybody and my fellow panelists, that we want more people involved in standardization, including female. And I really do think we should start by educating about standardization in general, because it is really a well-kept secret sometimes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Deborah. I think your presentation was very effective. And on your last comment that we need to educate people, I totally agree. And actually, I wanted to have a representative of another project that existing already. It ends in December 2026. It's called Edu for Standards. I'm involved in that. I couldn't have a speaker from that project for today, but I will leave the link to this project because I think it's trying, to do a little bit of this education already at school, okay, school level, not for people that are already in their career.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So we can go on with the next speaker, who is Despina Kopanaki.
Hello, let
Good
me
morning,
share
Despina.
my
Welcome.
screen. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Good. So many thanks for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here today with you. So good morning. My name is Despina Kopanaki, and I'm a senior project manager at the Technical University of Crete. For the past 8 years, I have been working on the day-to-day coordination of European research projects. Currently, I'm the project manager of the SNSJU Elastic project and a member of the Women in Telecommunications and Research Working Group. Today, I will share how project coordinators and innovation managers help bridge research and standardization. And I will also present the role of the WITAR working group in supporting more inclusive participation in ICT standardization. So just a few words of what Elastic is about. It is an EU-funded project under the umbrella of the Smart Networks and Services joint undertaking. Elastic addresses the challenges of highly distributed 6G systems where edge cloud computing is rapidly growing and security becomes critical. The project focuses on enabling secure orchestration across the edge cloud continuum, leveraging technologies such as WebAssembly, BPF, and confidential computing. These solutions are being validated in industrial scenarios, what we call demonstrators, including a smart connected factory and the migration of sensitive IT services to the cloud. Elastic contributes to standardization by enabling interoperability, addressing security and privacy challenges, and supporting the evolution of 6G and edge cloud systems. Now, Elastic contributes to standardization across several major bodies, including W3C, ETSI, ITF, OASIS, ENISA, FIRST, and 3G PPP. These contributions cover areas like WebAssembly, security orchestration, protocols, and 6G architecture. These are not just theoretical contributions, they directly support key capabilities. For example, secure execution of WebAssembly workloads, trusted attestation in distributed environments, scalable edge cloud processing, and secure orchestration for 6G systems. This demonstrates how research results can effectively translate into standardization impact. However, achieving this does not happen automatically. While Elastic demonstrates that research can contribute to standardization, this process is not straightforward. There are several types of barriers that research projects are facing. First, structural barriers, such as the lack of incentives, where standardization is not always prioritized or rewarded. There are limited capacity for sustained engagement. Second, technical and process barriers. Standardization procedures can be complex and slow, and navigating the structures and timelines of standardization bodies is often challenging. Third, awareness and participation barriers. Research teams often focus on technical development, and standardization is, let's say, optional for them, even though it is essential for the impact of a project. Now, these challenges can even become more pronounced for underrepresented groups, including women, who may face additional barriers to entering standardization communities. For example, participation often depends on existing networks and experience, which are not always equally accessible. So while standardization is essential for achieving impact, it requires coordination, awareness, and more inclusive participation. Now, this is exactly where coordination plays a key role. From a project technical innovation perspective, our role is to act as a bridge between research and standardization. This starts with identifying standardization opportunities and aligning research results with relevant standardization bodies and ecosystem needs. We then support partners' contributions, helping them actively engage in standardization activities. At the same time, we ensure that standardization is embedded in exploitation so that results can lead to real impact adoption. An important part of this role is also promoting inclusive participation, encouraging diverse profiles, including women, to engage in standardization. In this way, standardization becomes a joint effort, bridging research, industry, and standardization. And importantly, standardization is not only technical activity, it also requires coordination, strategy, and collaboration, which opens opportunities for more diverse participation. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Elastic is part of the Smart Networks and Services Joint Undertaking. Within SMS, several cluster activities are supported, including a number of working groups. One of these is the Women in Telecommunication and Research Working Group, or WITAR. WITAR is co-led by Bahare Korsanti and Maria-Hélène Hamon, who are doing an excellent job in promoting women's participation in ICT. Elastic is also an active member of the WITAR working group. Now, WITAR was established in 2021 within the HEXA-X project and has since evolved across European research initiatives. Today, it operates within 6G IEA and SNS community, bringing together stakeholders from research, industry, and policy. It is a collaborative initiative focused on promoting gender balance in ICT research and innovation. This also includes supporting participation in standardization activities. The working group focuses on several key objectives. First, promoting a more gender-balanced approach across European research and innovation activities. Second, increasing the visibility of women and supporting their participation in leadership roles. And third, supporting the next generation of researchers through role models and guidance. WITAR is, first of all, a community-driven initiative. It focuses on building connections across the SNS and 6G ecosystem, promoting knowledge exchange through events and webinars, and increasing the visibility and leadership of women in ICT. Building on these activities, WITAR is also actively contributing to standardization. For example, at Territory 2025, WITAR organized a joint session together with pre-standardization working group of the 6GIA. The session was focusing on strengthening inclusion and diversity, while also reinforcing the link between research and standardization within Europe's 6G ecosystem. And the Lunch Salon series includes targeted expert talks, such as the latest session that we had focused on standardization. The invited speaker was Dr. Albina Michomska that we heard before, sharing her experience and insights on contributing to standardization. As a next step, WITAR is moving towards more concrete and measurable actions. This includes evaluating gender representation in key standardization bodies such as 3GPP and ETSI, and identifying existing gaps and barriers to participation. This is how we move from community building to active and impactful contribution in standardization. So WITAR is an open community, and we encourage you to follow us, join us. You can learn more about the working group and follow our activities with these QR codes. And with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention. If you're interested in learning more about Elastic, you can follow us through these channels. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Despina. Let's see if there are any questions in the chat. Maybe I can ask you to monitor a little bit the chat in next minutes so that we address the questions maybe by typing the answer, and we have still time to go with the remaining two speakers. And also WITAR, very good that you mentioned, we have cooperated with them last year, and we will continue this year and also with more activities. So let's go now to our next speaker, Elzbieta. I have your slides, so start sharing.
Thank you so
the
much.
screen now.
First of all, can you hear me? That is a
Yes.
very
Yes.
classic question. Just my presentation is very personal, and I would like to just share with you my experience as a project leader, being standardization expert for many years, and this is my connection to STAND ICT programs, which is very important to indicate as one of the major steps to facilitate women participation in standardization, specifically in ICT standardization. So briefly about me, I am the director of cybersecurity department in National Institute of Telecommunications Poland, which is State Research Institute. And also I am the manager of accredited testing lab for cybersecurity. So being accredited lab means that we rely on reference standards, and they are very important in my daily routine work, being along with the standardization. And regarding standardization, there's a several standardization organization that is ISO-based JTC1, SC27 subcommittee, information security, cybersecurity, and privacy protection. And then in terms of European standardization, this is the Joint Committee, Cybersecurity and Data Protection, and specifically I indicated several working groups where I serve as the project leader. Recently, I joined and lead one of the very important projects for TC 224, which is WG20, European Digital Identity Wallet. So going next slide, please, Maria. successful fellowship under STAND ICT. I serve as the project leader for many standards. Not all are included in the programs STAND ICT, and long-term experience means that I have received several grants still. One is ongoing from 3 consecutive programs. I just look at the clock to be in line with our limitation. And direct support from STAND ICT programs edition and so many standards, including prominent standards like 2705 2022 guidance on managing information security risk. It is one of the most popular ISO standards, by the way. And then 15408-1, which is the evaluation criteria for IT security, part 1, as I said, it is very well known as a common criteria standard. Then European standard, which is currently was published last year, guidelines on sectoral cybersecurity assessment, which can directly support CRA or digital identity wallet implementation, and is very useful. But the standardization work doesn't mean you are working purely on standards. You have to prepare something before you start the real standardization work. I mean, standardization in terms of numbers, in terms of stages with 20.20, 30.60, etc. That was Deborah mentioned about this regulation, the procedure, which was really important in doing standardization work. But just to give you some example of some preliminary work which are necessary to start as I said, the actual standardization project, which is some, for example, consideration of the concept of the target of evaluation for emerging and existing technology like AI, like cloud, and those things are really important. Next slide, please. Barriers. Barriers for women in standardization exist. I would like to just show you some information which is not my personal experience here about barriers, because I haven't observed barriers in my case. However, there's some recent research conducted by ISO Central Secretariat and specific group on gender sustainable growth for standards shows that really there's fewer women in this technical subject matter in ICT related is reflected in standardization. And it is an example, if SC27 subcommittee on cybersecurity, information security and privacy protection has more than 2,000 experts, 23% are women and less are men. So what another barrier? Years and level of experience. Usually women have a little bit less experience than men. Time constraints during the family commitments, which is really important. In many cultures, sex gender discrimination. Somebody says it exists. I haven't received any such sign of discrimination, I must say. Cultural discrimination, sensitiveness, and availability of resources, including insufficient funds. Next slide, please. As a cornerstone of success, I would like to just stress out a little bit more than only mentioning about the barriers. That's what Deborah said. You have to like this work. This is not a very easy work. It's time consuming. It requires hundreds of hours for preparation and a lot of time devoted to getting consensus and speaking to people, trying to get something which is acceptable for people, considering various culture, various styles of expressing position in English, which is for majority of participants are not native language. And that's long-term support, at least acceptance from your employer. Standardization work is usually not a main part of our professional life. It's something extra, usually extra, but still some acceptance and support from the employer is needed. But funding is the key point. So getting support from different sources than your employer could be relevant, because if you change your word, that is it happens that the next employer doesn't like any standardization activity, so you have to stop. Therefore, this funding, which is independent, is really crucial. And last but not least, unconditional, continual support from the family. It's a really big step, big thing for standardization experts, not only women, but for men as well. So thanks a lot again for inviting me, and I am happy just to share this personal view on standardization subjects. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ella. And I know you are very, like a returning fellow, as you said, of Stand ICT. So if you apply for the mentoring to become a mentor, it will be very much
I did it.
appreciated.
I did it already. Yeah.
Ah, okay, great, even better. Okay, so we are, thank you again, and we are at the last 10 minutes of the webinar, but we're almost there. And last but not least, we have Christiana. Christiana, if you want, I can continue sharing my screen because I have
Whatever
your
you
slides
like.
already.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So welcome, Christiana.
So
The
thank
floor
you,
is yours.
everyone. Great presentations, amazing. Great women, amazing women. I'm really very happy that I have this opportunity to be here with you today. So good morning again to everyone on this webinar, and thank you very much for this opportunity to participate in this webinar. I would also like to sincerely thank Stand ICT and the organizers for this important initiative. You know, events like these are not only valuable, they are essential. They create visibility, they sort of foster collaboration, and importantly, encourage more women to actively engage in shaping the future of technology and standardization. So let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Christiana. I am a transnational technology lawyer, which transnational means it's like crossing borders, like crossing the borders of the EU. And I have been like practicing for more than almost 28 years now. So I've heard someone earlier, I don't remember who was, but they said something about age. So yes, I may be like older than more of you in this webinar. I'm a founder and managing partner of a law firm, which is a regulated law firm in Cyprus, at the Cyprus Bar Association and the EU associations of bars, Bar Association of the EU. And I have been actively involved in ICT standardization for approximately the last 10 years. My work sits at the intersection of law, regulation, emerging technologies, and standardization. particularly in areas such as blockchain, which is my main area, and artificial intelligence, and then the convergence of these two, and then finance, like sustainable finance, the financial systems in general, and payments and digital assets, and cybersecurity. So I come to standardization both as a lawyer and as a standardization expert, and I believe that this combined perspective is increasingly important. Next slide, please. So most people think, and as many ladies in this call repeated and acknowledged, most people think that standards are technical documents. In reality, they define how trust, how risk, and even how power are distributed in this field of ICT, in the field of technology, and especially in emerging technologies where I am involved. So, and this is exactly why I became involved in ICT standardization about 10 years ago, as I said, through my work advising on blockchain and fintech, etc. I became directly exposed to standardization processes. I realized that while we had regulation and we had innovation, we were missing a critical layer in between. There was fragmentation, and at the beginning of this webinar, we had one question about this. There was fragmentation. Also, I identified lack of interoperability, which is crucial, and there was lots of uncertainty about how these technologies should function in practice, and that missing layer was standardization, or if I would put it more accurately, we needed more standardization. Because standardization is what allows regulation to operate effectively. Without standards, regulation often remains theoretical. And I say this from my role and my whole career. So without standards, regulation remains theoretical. Standards translate regulatory principles into operational reality. So over the past decade, my involvement in standardization has expanded across multiple domains. So currently, I serve as the head of the Cyprus National Delegation to ISO TC307, which is the blockchain, the DLT's committee, technical committee. But my work also extends in other key areas, as I said before. Next slide, please. No, oh yes, this one, yes. So I'm actively involved in several working groups and projects. For example, within ISO TC307, I contribute, I'm a project leader in working group 3 on smart contracts and their applications, and I lead a project right now, these days, on the taxonomy and classification for smart contracts, which aims to create a shared and structured understanding of how smart contracts on blockchains are defined and used across several industries, many industries. At the same time, I'm involved in a few initiatives. I will share with you a couple of these. It is the blockchain forensics on an ISO level again, ISO TC307, which is about actually how we gather, process, and preserve evidence from blockchains so that this evidence can be used later with courts or regulators, etc. And also, we have recently established a new working group under CEN-CENELEC JTC 19, working group 4, which is about blockchain for cybersecurity and resilience. And within this working group, we aim to work on projects like smart contracts for the CRA, for the Cyber Resilience Act. So on a day-to-day basis, my work includes participating in several working groups in the various committees. I have a few there. Various committees are contributing to drafting standards, advising organizations, helping other standardization experts, my colleagues, including helping companies that are involved and conducting liaison exercises, also liaise with the regulators on several standards as they process, as they go on, liaise and communicate with several technology providers on how to interpret and implement these standards in practice. In essence, we standardization experts act as a bridge. I do, seeing from my side, I translate between regulators and engineers, between legal frameworks and technical design, and between innovation and compliance. Because standards only create value when they can be applied, and this was acknowledged by almost all of the speakers here today, when they can be applied in a real world environment. So one of the biggest challenges we face in standardization is precisely this gap. The people building the technology are not always those shaping the rules. And those shaping the rules are not always deeply involved in how the technology works. So this creates disconnects, and in fast evolving fields, like those fields in ICT and emerging technologies like blockchain and AI, these disconnects can introduce significant risks. So another challenge is speed. Innovation evolves rapidly, while standardization requires, as said before by many, consensus and collaboration, which naturally takes time. Balancing innovation with stability, speed, with trust is one of the most complex aspects of standardization work today. But despite these challenges, the importance of standardization cannot be overstated. So standardization is what allows innovation to scale. It creates a common language. It enables interoperability. As said before, I mean, all of these that the previous colleagues of mine shared, it builds trust across systems, sectors, jurisdictions. Without standardization, we do not have ecosystems. And this is particularly critical today as technologies like AI, blockchain, and digital identity are becoming foundational infrastructure for our economies. For me, one of the most important realizations has been that standardization is not purely technical. It is governance. It defines how systems operate, how decisions are made, how risks are managed, and how trust is established. And this is exactly why diverse perspectives, including women, are essential in this space. But we also need to go one step further. We need to actively encourage more young women to enter this field, to see standardization not as something distant or technical, but as an area where they can have real impact. Because the earlier they engage, the more they can shape the systems and technologies that they will define our future. So initiatives like this one, by Stand ICT, this webinar, play a crucial role. They create the space, visibility, as I said before, and access, because diversity is not just about representation, it is about better outcomes. Stronger, more effective standards are developed when different perspectives, disciplines, and experiences are included. So if I were to offer one piece of advice to close, especially to women considering entering this field, it would be this. Do not assume that standardization is only for engineers. It is not. Whether you come from law, policy, business, or technology, your perspective is needed. Start by engaging with working groups, participating in consultations, or joining organizations such as ISO or European standardization bodies. The entry points are more accessible than they may seem. And importantly, do not wait to be invited. Standardization is one of the few areas where you can directly influence how technologies evolve globally. So if you want to shape the future of these technologies and digital systems in general, don't just comply with standards. Help write them. Help us write them. Come with us. Join us. So to conclude, standardization is where the invisible architecture of our digital future is being built, and ensuring that this architecture is inclusive, robust, and aligned with real-world needs is a shared responsibility. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Cristiana. Thank you to all the other panelists that attended this event, and also to the audience, also for the questions. We are now over time, so we need to close the webinar, but as I said, there will be follow-up opportunities. All the materials will be online, and then we have upcoming other events like the info session on the 24th, and also other events during the year. And please connect on the website of Stand ICT, and also the other projects who contributed to this webinar to keep being engaged with us.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, and see you next time.
And I was the last one, so I want to thank everyone for their patience to wait for me to present. As I saw, almost everyone is here, so thank you for not leaving me like alone to present. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you
everyone.
a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.